you guys enjoy your whatever that is.
All right. Test.
And welcome back to Convincing Idiots. I am Millennial Nick, and that is Gen X Brian, and this is the second segment of Convincing Idiots, episode 241. So, there you sit on pins and needles, waiting just to hear what tantalizing little segment we have in store for you. Well, wait no longer. For our final segment this evening, we're going to be discussing some of our favorite character arcs of all times in television. Over a long-running TV series, you get to know different characters, and as they go, and as most well-written shows go, you might find that characters, maybe the dynamic changes, maybe they change or due to the experiences they're going through in said show. So we're going to discuss some of our favorite character arcs. So Brian, why don't you start us off?
Now, I use movies too. I didn't make that clear. So whatever character arc you want to use, TV or movies, is certainly completely fine, right? So, my first one is for movie, and these are movie. I watch variations of this character every holiday season. Any version of this character you watch, I don't care what, there's many different versions of him out there. And I always find it to be a very nice and warm holiday story. It's never too late to change. Ebenezer Scrooge, Nick.
Yeah.
You all know the story. Christmas, so many versions of Christmas Carol, Muppets, and Jim Carrey animated, and there's so many out there, so just a great holiday story. Have to watch. I don't care. That's always a story I will watch every holiday season without fail. And it always touches my heart to see him, learn and realize that, he can make a positive difference. Even it's not too late for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a character arc for the better. What's your favorite version? Like, if you only could watch one version of that story of a Christmas Carol, like which one is it going to be?
The two I watch most years is between the Muppets one with Michael Caine, and then I tend to like the weird Jim Carrey version. It's just the animation's pretty good, but it's very true to the story. That's one I just keep coming back to every year. It didn't do well in the theater. I watched it with Peyton growing up. That probably has something that's tied to a nice memory watching with her as a young kid. But how about you? Do you have a favorite version?
Mine would be Muppets. Yeah. It not only, I don't know, it's just the one that I've always loved, the Muppet one. It's one that I have to watch every Christmas. Michael Caine is fantastic in it. And also visually, like, it's very interesting with the renditions of the ghosts and stuff. I just think it's visually very cool. So that's always good.
And the Mickey Mouse one is very good too, by the way, where it's Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
And Mickey Mouse is Cratchit, and it's a half an hour. It's a half an hour version on Disney. You can find it there. Also extremely well done.
Yeah. I also shout out to the version on the Hallmark Channel. It's not the Hallmark that you're thinking of nowadays, where like they make all the rom-com kind of Christmas movies. But like when Hallmark was doing just like a special movie for the year, they did a version of the Christmas Carol, and it's really good because like he's the most like brutal and like disgusted by poor people, and that one's my favorite is in that regard. The more disdain someone has for the poors, the more I like that version of Scrooge. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What's first on your? I said it had to be your favorite one, but what's one on yours?
Gen X Brian here from the Convincing Idiots podcast. If you're enjoying our show, tell a friend. And if you're not, well, tell two enemies.
First one I wrote down is an easy one. It's probably one of the most famous in all of television, and it's Walter White. Because in
Mm-hmm.
Breaking Bad, we see
Yeah.
Walter White go from this timid, very well-meaning, good-hearted, uh, kind of a doormat of a character. And when his back is up against the wall and he's faced with the uncertainty of his future, and finding ways to, pay for his battle with cancer, and he becomes a drug lord in the process, and then just kind of becomes addicted to what comes along with that, and not drugs obviously, but the power and everything that comes with it. It's really that, I mean, we've talked about it on the show many times. It's just such a well done. That is one show that I don't care who you are. I've never met someone who's like, I didn't really like that show that much. Anyone who's watched it, I mean, it 1,000% lives up to the hype, and I think a big part of that is the realness of the characters, the way they all play off each other, and they all grow throughout the series. Some for
Hmm.
better, some certainly in Walter White's case for the worse. Like he's a much worse person at the end of that show than where he began. But in some ways you get those little pockets where you're kind of like, yeah, good for him. Like but then it just kind of, it's like watching, somebody walk across a seesaw. You start at this extreme end and you end up all the way over here, and you kind of reach that point in the middle where it's got a healthy balance, but it just keeps going and going. And I think that's the best part about it, is that it's just so feels so authentic and feels so real. So Walter White was definitely not one for the better, I wouldn't say. He's
No.
certainly a villain in Breaking Bad, but just great to watch the extreme dynamic of that character change.
That's good. Very good. Another movie. Most of mine are movies. Tony Stark. Robert
Oh
Downey
yeah.
Jr. and from the very first Iron Man movie. Now there's certainly a great arc in the very first movie where the very first time you see Tony Stark, he's sort of a very pompous, weapons dealer, creator, for his family. And then certainly by the end of even the first movie, he's becoming a hero. And then, just you see the Iron Man character evolve through all the Marvel movies. And of course, the tragic demise of Tony Stark, killing Thanos and bringing back all the folks who Thanos had wiped out, and sacrificed himself and his family, just became a family man. It's just such a very heartbreaking end to that character, but just a tremendous character arc, probably of all the Marvel characters. Frankly, I don't know that they'll ever be able to top Tony Stark.
Yeah.
With so yeah, I don't know. But
Yeah.
definitely
No,
up
that's
there
an
for me.
excellent one for
Yeah.
sure. Yep. Yeah, and same thing is, even though it wasn't a TV series, through all those years of making
Hmm.
all from the first Iron Man in like 2008 or something, all the
Yeah.
way to the end of that, the Avengers sagas and stuff. I mean, like, yeah, it's many years in between in which the character is changing through the films and growing, and yeah, it's a good one.
Yep.
So my next one, this is a fun one. I'm gonna go. This is a show that we both enjoy, and I think Dean's relatively new to it as well, but also enjoys it. And we're getting ready for the final season coming up. Is Stranger Things, and
Mm.
more specifically, my favorite character arc is Steve. Steve
Hmm.
was an asshole when that show started.
Yeah.
He was the popular jock. I don't know if he was necessarily a bully, but he certainly was a bully type figure to some.
Hmm.
And Steve did a complete, just fun-loving 180, and he is just fantastic. He's hanging out with the kids, and he's got a good heart. And in the last season that we saw, he even made a point to kind of apologize to Nancy, where he had a heart-to-heart with her about how he used to be and how he felt bad about that. And but it's just the dynamic of him and Dustin specifically on Stranger Things. But I just love it. I love that they took a character like that was just, I mean, very hateable in the beginning. Just like
Hmm.
I said, that typical high school jock, just kind of dickhead, and that they made him this kind of funny, lovable character that hangs out with the kids and kind of is their protector in a way. And yeah, he's hands down my favorite part of Stranger Things. So I would Steve from Stranger Things makes my list.
Very good one. Excellent. We gotta have some Star Wars in here, Nick. Star Wars movies certainly. I mean, the huge arc with the trilogies and everything else here. How about Han Solo?
Yeah.
It certainly started out as we all. I mean, again, if you're even a casual Star Wars fan, you all know the story. Han Solo, smuggler.
Yeah.
Kind of gets hooked
He's
up with
borderline a villain in the beginning. I mean, kind of, not in such a stark way, but I mean, certainly he's not a good guy.
No, he's not.
When it starts,
cares about himself, cares about money, even to the very end of the very first Star Wars movie, and decides to join help save Luke, and then that certainly begins the arc of the hero Han Solo, hero, family man, tragic father, everything. So just a great arc for that. Not the best ending of him, certainly, but great arc throughout the Star Wars movies for sure.
Yeah. Really drives home, though, the way it did end for him was very sad and kind of a meek way to go out. And for a character that started off so, badass and just out for himself and, just live in the moment kind of thing, that in itself is a huge contrast from where you picked up with him to kind of how it all ends,
Absolutely.
He literally sacrificed his life for the chance at salvaging a relationship with his son.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's a really good one. I wouldn't have thought of Han Solo, but that's a really good one. Yeah.
Who's next on your list, Nick?
I'll tell you what. I'll keep it Star Wars. Another easy one. Anakin Skywalker. And this arc is, I don't know if it's an arc so much as it is like the golden arches from M&M or from McDonald's. It's kind of like he starts out as this innocent, sweet little boy who's just wanting a better life for him and his mom. He loves his mom, and then he goes over. Obviously there's a big arc in there of how he changes and how he gets there, but he obviously becomes Darth Vader, the Sith Lord, and then at the very end comes back around, and there's still good in him, and he sacrifices himself for his son as well. So yeah, that's an easy one. Certainly, I mean, people who aren't Star Wars fans or think that Star Wars is this big nerdy thing or it's this big cultural thing that they don't quite understand. You can say that all you want, but the way that the story of Darth Vader / Anakin Skywalker goes, it has a lot of just twists and turns, and the dynamics of it. It is actually really like interesting and well thought out. It's not just a simple little good guy turns bad. There's just a lot of and the way that they go back, I guess, and tell the story of what got him there, I thought was pretty well done. The movies, and you can pick things here and there about it, but I thought they did a really decent job, at least in the prequels, of illustrating that kind of transition for him. But yeah, Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, very interesting character arc there.
Very good. I had him as well on my list.
Nice.
Another good one of my favorite movies. He made an appearance in 2 of the movies here, but he really had his arc in the very first movie. How about George McFly, Nick? Back to the Future. So, have you seen you've had to have seen the back. Okay, that's right. Oh my God.
That's right. Oh my God.
Every Gen X person right now listening is like, "Oh my God!"
I'm sorry.
This kid has not watched the Back to the Future, but that's just a fun summertime movie, by the way. That'd be an excellent movie night option for sure. The first one's still one of my favorite movies here, but So the George McFly is Marty's father, and the movie starts out. He's still getting picked on by the local town bully all these years, and he goes back in time, and he has to try to fix his past, and has to encourage his dad to meet his mom and everything else. But he finds bravery, and he changes his future self by finding the courage within him to stand up to the bully back then, which carries over into his future, and he's just a whole different changed man, much more confident and successful and everything else here. So those moments where you found that courage in the movie to still keep the timeline intact, but to go a different route was it's a very, very good story. So
yeah,
George McFly.
And for the record, Back to the Future is one of those ones. It was like Beetlejuice for me. Just never. I don't know why because I mean, it was a little it came out, before I was born, but it was certainly popular when I was a young kid. Just one that I don't know. I just never saw, but not opposed to seeing it. Just never have gotten there.
Holds up pretty well. A couple of scenes are like, but it holds up pretty well.
Yeah. I hear there's a scene where he almost bangs his mom or something like that.
There's jokes about that out there. You can find like comedy clips and things where that happens, and he kept screwing up his life and everything. But yeah, it's pretty funny. But it's a weird thing. But no, it never really comes close. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
For my next one, I'll give you one that you're not going to know. So we'll keep it even here. This one, there's again from this show, lots of characters I could have picked, but my favorite one from Game of Thrones that I'm going to throw out there is Jaime Lannister. So to give you, I know you've not watched Game of Thrones, right? Okay. So Jaime Lannister, as it begins, he is. Let's see. He is a part of this royal family who has many generations has sat upon the Iron Throne, and they're all kind of this very wealthy and rich family and in power. And he is the hand of the king. He is the brother of the brother-in-law of the king. His sister is married to the king. Good looking. Great knight, various accolades in battle, things like that. Easy to hate, handsome guy. And as the story goes on, at one point he is captured by another family who had been done wrong by his, and as he's held there prisoner, you see his personality change, and he kind of, as the story goes on, becomes not only not somebody you're rooting against, but someone rather that you're rooting for. And he gains a conscience throughout the show that he certainly doesn't have at the beginning of it. And he really has a very endearing character in Game of Thrones. So his story, if you ever get the chance to watch that show, is definitely a good one. Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones.
Okay. Very good. I may take one from you. I'm not sure. It's sort of might be cheating here a little bit, kind of. How about the T-800, Nick?
Oh, that's a good one.
So the original, it's not the same robot though, so it's kind of cheating a little bit here. But we know the T-800 is the Terminator robot with the Arnold Schwarzenegger skin to it in the original Terminator movie. Of course, we know that robot was destroyed at the beginning of the first movie, but a duplicate of it was sent back in time by John Connor, obviously played by Arnold Schwarzenegger again, but to help protect the young John Connor and Sarah Connor, right? So it's the same, of course, obviously same actor, same robot, but he's the hero in the second Terminator movie, which is a very interesting take on that character and the robot and everything else. So you're fighting a more modern robot killer and everything else. So kind of cheating. Is it an acceptable answer? I don't know, but it was very cool to see the same premise of the robot being the ultimate villain in the first movie to, of course, become the ultimate hero in the next movie.
Yeah, that's a good one. Because like you said, they're technically they're different but the same, right?
Right.
in Arnold's autobiography, Total
Mhm.
Recall, he talks about this. He tells the story about like how he had to be talked into that. Well, like James Cameron brought him that and was like, he goes, "We're gonna in this one, we're gonna make him a good guy." He's like, "I can't. I'm a killing machine. I can't be a good." He did not want to do that. He did not like that story at all. And I think the deal he made with him is he told Jim Cameron, well, because he's still gonna kill people, right? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, he goes, yeah, I gotta. He goes, I want to kill twice as many people, and I want to use bigger guns, and I want to like he's gonna be,
He certainly
he's gonna be
did.
a good guy. He's got to be,
Certainly did.
you know, he's still got to like, be the Terminator, right? So
Yeah, and arguably overall a better movie than the first one.
I certainly prefer Judgment Day to the first. I love the 1st one,
Mhm.
but Judgment Day is I think the best one.
Mhm.
Okay. For my next one, tell you what, you got. I didn't originally have this one written down, but you got the wheels turning when you brought up Iron Man. I'm gonna go with Loki.
Great one.
When you said, and I'm
Yes.
like, you're right. There might not, but I'm like, if anyone's giving Iron Man
Yeah.
a run for his money with that drastic character change, Loki is
Great.
definitely one of them. I feel like the character of Loki, and I don't know if that's just because Tom Hiddleston or Loki, the character, is just so charismatic.
Mhm.
But you always had an underlying feeling that even when he was a bad guy, that he wasn't that like he wasn't all. You just it wasn't totally believable that he was all
Mhm.
bad, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But his character changes so much through, certainly the Thor movies to
Mhm.
the Avengers movies, and then in the TV series, it's just a total flip. So
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like Loki's a really good one there. You definitely see the very depths of his villain in I think
Mhm.
I think it was the second was it the second Thor where he was part of killing Anthony Hopkins' character. Um, I don't know. There was I just there again a lot of ups and downs, and
Second or the third, but yeah, you're right.
because he's
Mhm.
so deceptive and like you don't really ever know when he's really aiming to be good or bad or when it's a plot or a ploy.
Mhm.
So, but you certainly see that character change in the Loki series. So, yeah, Loki's on my list as well.
That's a great one. I mean, you
Yep.
probably could go back and forth between Tony Stark and Loki, frankly, if you supposed to sit down and
Sure.
think about it. So
Yeah.
also again, saved a whole universe, right? Several universes, right? At the
Yeah.
end, at the end of the Loki series, absolutely. And himself
Yeah.
sacrificed
Right.
himself in his own right, where he's
Hmm.
sort of stuck as the time master, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, hmm very good one. I think let's see. Did I have five? One, two, three, four, five. I think I had my five. Was that your fifth?
That's my fourth, I think, right? Oh no, I did do five. I did Jamie. I forgot to check that one off. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Any
Honor-
honorable mentions, sir? You want to
I do
mention?
actually have some honorable mentions. I did mention Game of Thrones and that there were multiples. I had a second Game of Thrones one, and it would be Sansa Stark. She's the daughter of the Stark family that hails from Winterfell. And at the
Hmm.
beginning of the show, she is, I don't know, probably 13, 14 years old. And she's, this sweet, girly girl that, well, I shouldn't say sweet. She's kind of stuck up and spoiled, but, she's of the royal family of her, homeland, and she's to be promised to marry a prince, and she wants to be a princess, and that's her whole goal, and whatever. That she doesn't really think too far beyond that. And then Game of Thrones happens, and everything you've ever known and loved has been just horribly, violently ripped away from you, and over and over again. So her character changes a lot, and you go from her being kind of this spoiled, stuck up, you know, little brat to being someone who ends up leading her family back to prominence and can stand up for herself and rule in her own right. And it's a really cool powerful female character in Game of Thrones. So she's on my at least honorable mention. And then of course maybe perhaps the greatest the Terminator is a good turnaround, but man, when Arnold Schwarzenegger played the overworked father, I mean, just overly committed to his
Yeah.
job,
Yeah.
literally puts everything on the back burner as Howard Langston from Jingle All the Way. And then he makes a full recovery and turnaround by being the full family man he always was in his heart the whole time. He just had his priorities switched around. So
Sure.
there's a little lesson in Jingle All the Way for everybody, and Arnold Schwarzenegger does a great job as Howard Langston, getting you to realize that. So
Of course.
Yep.
We can't leave him off.
No.
Can't
Any
leave him
other
off the
honorable
list.
mentions?
I had Sam Malone. Cheers. I think back and watching that character evolve over many years of that show. I know you weren't much of a Cheers fan. It was definitely a show that I grew up with and watched for many years. So the character started out as very much of a playboy type guy, dating multiple women, everything else, and then he winds up falling in love and doesn't work out, and then he kind of falls in love again, doesn't really work out, and realizes that his true love is his bar and his friends and everything else here. So it's just he definitely evolved as a character and as a man on that show. I thought throughout the years, definitely learned some lessons the hard way. So I thought that was a pretty good storyline for that character. I also have Doc Holliday in the movie Tombstone, the great Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
I mean, that character makes so many of our lists in general.
Yeah.
Favorite this, favorite that, but just good. I mean, the character started out certainly just a gambler and drinker, and practically killing himself with his habits, and then realize just stands up and fights for his friend. He doesn't have many friends, and decides he's going to stand alongside Wyatt Earp and defend him and his cause, and and dies knowing that he did that, and he had a true friend there. And it's a little short one, and a mini arc sort of, but in honor of our a couple movie nights we had here. How about Jaws from James Bond? The guy starts out as a gruesome killer, literally biting people to death with his iron teeth, to finding love and realizing that he's going to be killed by the villain in Moonraker because he and his girlfriend are not perfect, and decides that no, I'm going to stand up for the woman that I love here. Winds up rescuing James Bond actually, and escapes at the end. And that was actually a nice happy ending for Jaws, going on there. So that was it. So
and then finishes the third act as just a nice retired gentleman who watching a golf match, defending his ex-employee.
That's it. Yeah. Same.
Happy Gilmore.
Yep. Same universe.
Same guy.
Not many people know that. Moonraker and Happy Gilmore, same universe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good.
Plenty of those we can think of, I'm sure. But go ahead, Nick. You have another arc for us?
I don't, but I was going to say, like we were saying that you brought up Val Kilmer and Tombstone. Like we should have a list of our top 5 most mentioned actors or characters in our top 5 list.
Sure.
That would be.
Yes. He would definitely be on it.
Yeah.
Without question.
Val Kilmer, you got Arnold. He makes it a lot. Yeah.
Of
John
course.
Hamm. He makes a lot of appearances.
Obviously.
Just as John Hamm. Yeah.
Sure.
Yep. Good shit, man.
Nick, we have done it.
We have done it. We have steered the ship home. And, we've solved a lot here this evening. We've done a lot of talking. We've done a lot of reflecting. Maybe it's time for you, the listener, to do some reflecting. Reflect upon yourself and your decisions lately. Have you decided to go find Convincing Idiots on all your favorite social media accounts? Well, if you haven't, then I would like to invite you to go to Google and type in Convincing Idiots Linktree, Linkttree. We've laid them all out for you, all the options to engage with us online, so please do so. You can also find that and so much more on our website, which is convincingidiots.wordpress.com. So, for this episode of Convincing Idiots, I am Millennial Nick.
Gen X Brian.
Have we convinced you to perhaps take a look in the mirror and make a character arc of your own today? You might just need it.
Hey, team with Convincing Idiots. Brian and Nick here. Like and subscribe.
Have you tried the Bush Light apple?
I have once before. I see it in the store now.
Did you like it?
It was okay.
Okay. I liked it a lot. I think I just was really not
They're
expecting
not thought. I tell you that.
much. And when I had it, I was like, holy shit. The first year they came out with it, I think I bought like a 12-pack because me and Dean were talking about it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I've heard of that. And I'm like, yeah, if I ever see some, I'll have to get some. And I bought a 12-pack and I gave Dean 6 of them. We just split it. And, you know, and then I tried it and I was pissed that I gave him 6 because I was like, damn, that was like really good. But I saw it in the store and I'm like, oh, yeah, you know what? I'm going to have to get a case because me and the guy at work are always talking about it. And I was like, it absolutely blew me away that I got 30 fucking beers for $12.99.
That's pretty good. It seems
It's
nuts.
insane. It's less than 50 cents a beer. I'm like, that's wild. I mean, granted, they're only like 4.1%. But I'm like, you know, coming from drinking craft beer and paying sometimes $22 to $24 for 4 beers, for 4 pints. And then like, even when I buy a case of beer, just my regular drinking beer is either Molson or Labatt, and it's like $22 for, 24 of them. And I'm like, holy shit, it was $12.99. And I'm like, I can't tell you how many times I took a double take at the sign and what was in, because I'm like, that's that for a 30-pack, is it? I'm like, yeah, it is. $12.99 for 30 fucking beers. That's crazy.
I have to get some now.
Yeah, Giant Eagle. $12.99. And I would like, if I can give them one critique, they really fucking missed the mark by not calling it a bushel. Come on. Come on. Right there.
That's great.
Your bush,
I love
they're
that.
apples. Come on.